Hello! So this is going to be a bit of a health update. So I haven't done one of these recently because about a month ago I had a CT scan and some tests and I've been waiting for the results. I still don't have the official results, I haven't seen the consultant, but I have had a phone call which has told me basically what's going on now with my cancer. So if you're new to the channel or don't know the story, about a year ago I had some really weird symptoms and went to the doctors. Initially they didn't think it was very serious. Then a few weeks later, when the situation wasn't getting any better, I went back to the doctors, saw a different GP, which is basically a family doctor in the UK, and she basically said you need to get to the hospital as soon as possible. So I went and saw a consultant and he did an exam. And basically while I was sitting there he started talking about CT scans and MRIs and blood tests, and at that point I realised that things weren't great, but of course until they actually do all the tests they won't tell you what the issue is. So I pretty much knew at that point that this wasn't something minor that was going to go away on its own, and lo and behold, a couple of weeks later I get the diagnosis that I got bowel cancer. Now I won't go into the specifics because it is pretty gross, but I had surgery, then I had chemotherapy and radiotherapy. That didn't work. They did some tests after that, they did a biopsy and discovered that there were still cancer cells in my body. So then I had another surgery which was pretty major. Rather large parts of me were cut out, and that was about 6 months ago. The last 6 months things were pretty painful at the start, now they're just down to being uncomfortable. So this is probably a surgery that I'm never going to fully recover from. Things are always going to be a bit odd, a bit uncomfortable. I'm not on any major painkillers anymore, basically I have to take paracetamol and ibuprofen pretty much all the time. Now this is a lot better than the situation was at one point. I was taking liquid morphine daily. Then that dropped down to taking tramadol, which is still a pretty powerful opiate. Now if I do get any pain I take codeine, which is another step down. So things are improving. Pain wise it's still uncomfortable and it's probably always going to be a bit uncomfortable, but that's just something I need to learn to live with and adapt to. It's not too bad, but it is kind of niggly and sometimes you can't sleep and some days it's just uncomfortable and you can't find a comfortable position to sit in or just be in, so I end up laying on the sofa all day. But considering earlier this year I was in bed in pain on morphine, things are an awful lot better. Right, so on to the recent news. So to give you a bit of terminology, there are kind of 5 different ways to describe recovery from cancer if you are going to recover from it, because the first one is no change, or it's getting worse really. Basically you still have cancer. The second one is stable. So that means you still have cancer, there's evidence of a tumour, but it's not getting any better, it's not getting any worse. Third one is remission. So that means that when they do scans or look at things, they can't see anything new. So if they've done surgery, they can't see any new tumour growth. Then there's one called no evidence of disease. Now this is more of a long-term version of remission. Once they've done multiple CT scans and multiple tests over multiple months, then they know that they're pretty sure they've got it all. And then there's one which is basically cured. That means they're confident that you no longer have any cancer cells in your body. Now with remission and no evidence of disease, that doesn't mean you don't have cancer cells in your body, it just means that they can't see any, so they're not having an effect. Now my recent news is that I've been described as stable and in remission. So what does that mean? Well, as best as I can explain it, it means that my body is still pretty much exactly the same as it was after the surgery. So that's why it's called stable, because nothing's changing. They cut out the tumour and the CT scan is showing that basically the situation is the same. That tumour is gone and it's not regrowing. The in remission part means that the CT scan has shown that there's nothing new anywhere either. So I have a chest, pelvis and abdomen CT scan, so basically everything from the neck to the knees effectively, and they can't see any signs of cancer there at all. So at the moment that's really good news. Now it doesn't mean that I don't have cancer. Like I say, they do have to do more scans and more blood tests over the next coming years to make sure that everything is basically gone and my body is clear of cancer. There's no guarantee that it's ever going to be clear of cancer. That is the problem with cancer. It can lurk around in different parts of the body. So you can get cancer in one place and it gets into your blood system or into your lymph system and then suddenly pops up somewhere else. That's what's known as recursion, and that's why a lot of people who have cancer often end up getting a different form of cancer after their treatment. But it can be years down the line. At the moment, what they've told me, stable and in remission, is the best diagnosis I can have at this point. I've had one CT scan 6 months after the surgery, and that's showing the oncologist that the situation is pretty much status quo. So they cut out the tumour and there doesn't appear to be anything new forming on that tumour or around where it was. Now, like I say, this is good news, but it doesn't mean I'm cured, and cancer is still going to be part of my life for the next few years and probably for the rest of my life. I'm probably going to need CT scans and blood tests every 6 months, I think it is, for the next few years, just to double check, and then if those are all clear, I'll move on to no evidence of disease, basically, which isn't a cure, but it means, yep, they're pretty sure that they've got the cancer and it doesn't appear to be forming anywhere else. But they'll still keep on monitoring me and calling me in for scans, but it'll probably be yearly or 2 yearly. So that's where I am at the moment. It's good news and I'm really happy about it, obviously, but it's still cautious news. Now, when it comes down to the channel, things are still going to be a bit hit and miss. Like I say, I'm still recovering from the surgery even 6 months later, and I have good days and bad days, and therefore I can't really stick to a regular schedule. There are some days where things are fine and I can just play Battlefield and have a good time and record some footage, and then I can make some videos out of it later. There are other days where I just think, oh, sod it, and sprawl on the sofa watching TV and basically trying not to move too much and trying to stay comfortable. So I can't really commit to anything when it comes to the channel. And to be honest, Battlefield 1 is causing a bit of an issue because I tend not to do just pure gameplay videos. I like to do informative videos that tell you something, help you learn something and help you achieve something within the game, and that's what I did in Battlefield 4. Pretty much all my videos were, here's how to unlock this weapon, here's how to get this achievement. I did do some pure gameplay videos in the Battlefield Basics series, but that was kind of cut off by having cancer treatment. So I don't really know what I want to do with the channel, whether I'm going to stick to just Battlefield 1 or whether I'm going to move out and do other things. In the past, other things like Fallout 4 didn't really go down that well, and I haven't really found another game that inspires me. I did buy the Infinite Warfare just because I wanted to get the remaster of COD 4, but the game was pretty awful, and in the end I refunded it on Steam because it just didn't live up to expectations. The remaster just feels really sluggish and bad, and Infinite Warfare just didn't appeal to me at all. So I played a couple of hours of the remaster of COD 4, wasn't really into it, wasn't feeling it, it didn't play as well as the original, so I just refunded it on Steam. So there's going to be no Infinite Warfare or COD 4 footage, which is a shame because I really would have liked to do some COD 4 videos because that was one of my favourite games from the past. So I'm going to throw this open. What kind of things would you like to see on this channel? Now, hopefully Battlefield 1 is going to improve its progression system and its achievement system, but for now there's no signs of that. So what videos would you like to see me making in the near future. Don't pick something that's going to need to be a regular series on regular dates because I can't promise that. But let me know your ideas. Thanks for watching.